So if you didn't know, Emerald Scales is the company away from GoHerping that Ethan and I put together, where we do all sorts of things. I don't feel like explaining it all. You can just go over to the site and figure out what it is. Okay, I'll go a little more in detail. Emerald Scales is a company started by Ethan, or Amazing Animal Adventures, and I, GoHerping. It's focused around reptile distributing, so of course I have my personal animals and my personal reptile room tours. Although GoHerping and Emerald Scales are not the same thing, we thought it would be a great place to show you what we have available from Emerald Scales. I woke up literally 15 minutes before recording this video, hence why I sound dead inside. We're starting out with these two animals right here. You probably recognize what they are.
It finally happened. We have bearded dragons now. Lots of you said that we would get some sooner or later. These ones we are not keeping. These ones are going, these guys are for sale, emeraldscales.com. You are welcome to go and get one for yourself. They are wonderful animals. I've already gotten a lot better at handling. When we first got them, they were a little bit more rah, but they're already calming down a lot more and they're a lot more chill.
The other nice thing is the people that we got these from, they really cared about them, so there really seems to be no past of any issues at all, which is really nice. So it should be just a nice easy transition. So everything is going smoothly for them. Never had any issues, and they've, even through their entire quarantining period, I didn't notice a single problem.
If you were following on Instagram, you would have known about these guys like ages ago. Because everything gets to be announced earlier on Instagrams. Anyways, if you were following on Instagram, you will have seen that we had 3 of them, but now there's just 2, and that's because I kind of fell in love with one of them. And now I'm gonna keep it. We do think both these guys are males. Pretty sure they're males, but they're about 4 months old. They're October babies, October 2017.
And they are siblings, if you care.
Yes. So, we have crested geckos again. We had one at the very beginning of Emerald Scales, and that one sold really fast, but now we have 2 more. We have this one, and we have a baby one that we don't have in our hands right now.
So this one's been hanging out here, doing really well. Looks like he's been enjoying the Pangea, which is what we use for all the Cresties now.
Yeah.
But pretty interesting pattern and coloring all around.
And she's a proven breeder, so if you're looking for something to start out learning to breed crested geckos, this is a good one because she has already been proven to produce young, and in fact, the other hatchling that we had is her offspring. In my hands here we have this jungle carpet python, who you've seen in a couple videos now, hopefully. He is doing great. He has been growing considerably. I don't know if you can tell from when we first got him. He has definitely grown so far and still growing. He might be already heading off to his new home. We're kind of working out details with somebody. But it looks like things will probably be going well with him, and he'll be going off to a new home pretty soon in the future. So that's exciting. But he was certainly fun to have and explore. That's the great thing about doing what we're doing. We get to explore all these different species. Like, we've seen so many species so far, more species than I could possibly keep at one time in my room. But because we're kind of cycling through, it's kind of cool to see a bunch of reptilian diversity.
You get nice little trial periods with everyone. Next up, we have 4 leopard geckos here. Now, one of these are already sold, the big chunky one. But other than that, these 3 are the newest arrivals. So this one, he is just about 100 grams. We listed that on the site, so the buyer knew that. I've never had a gecko this big. He's been doing good though. He's chowing down. He doesn't have like a ton of energy. He's more of just a big chunky boy that crawls around. I don't know.
His face is so wide. He looks like Smaug from The Hobbit. He's so cool. If I was ever going to keep a leopard gecko, I'd want it to be a leopard gecko like this. He's just such a beast.
Okay, so these 3 are the newer ones. Before we got them, they were hanging out all together in a 5-gallon. So I'm sure they're enjoying having actual space now compared to all being stuck together. And that came with some issues because this more dominant one, we're assuming it was him, kind of bullied this one a little bit. She doesn't have any claws or toes at all. They've all been bitten off. She just slides around. It's sad in like a cute way, I guess. So luckily, she seems perfectly healthy, other than the fact that she can't really shed herself because there's no claws to help her out with that.
Can you believe that? 3 leopard... There was actually 4 leopard geckos that were housed together in a 10-gallon. Someone sent us these from Nashville.
5-gallon.
Yeah, sorry. There was 4 leopard geckos housed in a 5-gallon tank. Like, 10-gallon is bare minimum for a single leopard gecko, bare minimum. But there was 4 of them housed in a 5-gallon, and there was these 3, and then there was one more that was actually in such a poor condition she wasn't able to send it to us. That's how bad it was hurt. Basically, there was 2 males, this guy, and then the male that's really hurting that wasn't able to be sent, and 2 females. The males obviously fought, and this one was stronger, more fit to survive, whatever, and he defeated the other male, and apparently he's just like really scarred and really beat up. And then there was also the 2 females, and the dominant male obviously had his favorite, which was this one, who's in perfect condition, and his not so favorite, which was this one, which the tip of her tail's been bitten off, all her toes are missing. It's really pathetic.
Scarring on the head. So this one's gonna require a bit more special care. We might work with you a little bit further to make sure she's really actually going to a place that is prepared for something more than just a normal leopard gecko, because she can't climb anything. She really doesn't seem to be able to shed, but luckily she does overall seem pretty happy eating and a good weight and everything, so could be worse, but she's not in the best condition. And then this one, we completely ignored it because he's just like the middle child or whatever. He still has, I guess that's some of his like baby patterning. I'm assuming that that's going to go away with time, because these are not adults, but they're definitely not babies, so they're sub-adults. But yeah, it's always interesting to see just how they change as they grow, and he's just chilling. Nothing to complain about with him.
I will say that while I'm kind of giving him a bad rap there, saying he was the dominant male that beat everyone else up, but that's a keeper's responsibility, is to keep him separate. He's not going to be mean to you if you happen to buy this gecko. He's not going to be like angry and biting at you. It's just he's not an animal that is okay to be housed with other leopard geckos. So we're not saying that because he's a bad leopard gecko. That's not really his fault at all. It's the keeper's fault for putting him in, especially with another male, in an enclosure. That was just bad all the way around. There's no good outcome that comes out of it. This one is so sociable. She'll walk right up to you. She's very, very sweet.
So these 2 you might recognize because we've had them basically the longest, but they're still not ready for sale because they were just so underweight. They're getting there though. They're growing. They've eaten every single week, which, well, a little more frequently than that, just because they're clearly underweight. This one we even did a video on comparing how to tell underweight from usual weight snakes.
These guys are the ball pythons you know and love. They're getting there little by little. You can still see in that video I talked about that triangular thing at their tip. You can still see they still got that. They're gaining weight for sure. And physically, weight aside, this one looks so much better than when we got him. He I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was lack of humidity that caused it or what, but he looked dull, like really dull and dry.
Like dusty almost, just like he was, yeah, I don't know.
Maybe, I really don't know what's going on. But now he's really shiny. He looks very sleek.
He's been the most fun to see change, because at this point you can almost, other than a little bit of weight loss, you really can't tell that there's ever been anything wrong with him. They've each shed twice since they were here, which is pretty nice. That first shed did like wonders for him, and the second was just like his pure completion. Now all he needs is a little bit more weight, and he's ready to go. And these have been sexed. I feel like we were told that this one was a female or something.
Yeah, we were told this one was a female, but they're both males now.
And then this is the Pastel Ghost, a little bit fancier, but overall still doing well. A little more shy, as you can see, in that very nice ball position. Still, they've both been very nice and sweet overall.
As far as morphs go, we think this might be something more than a normal. We obviously don't have any concrete opinion, so we're not going to mark it as a definitely some sort of a morph. Our best guess is a vanilla, so that's probably what it'll be marked as, a possible vanilla.
Or a fire, because lots of people have been saying fire.
That's the thing with dealing with rescues, is you don't necessarily have birth records, or you're not getting it from a breeder who, has like records on its family and what it is exactly morphology wise. So you kind of have to work around that a little bit, which is interesting.
It's just lots of estimating and educated guesses and not writing anything for certain on their pages where they're available.
Except for some, where this one, we're pretty sure this is a pastel ghost.
Yeah, well, technically this one was from a breeder, even if it wasn't equally as poor health as this one.
Just because breeders are breeders doesn't mean they always know what they're doing care-wise.
Yeah.
Which you can tell by the weight on this guy.
We've got breeders of all kinds now.
Oh, it's fun.
So here are the last 2 we have here. A nice little corn snake and a yellow belly. This is the corn snake that's been with Ethan, so Each time I see it, I'm like even more surprised to see just how much weight he's already gained, because he was looking pretty terrible.
To give you some reference, when we got him, he was 2 feet long and 21 grams. That's less than 1 gram per inch of body.
Well, he's here now and improving, luckily, so...
He's gained weight really fast. He gained like 10 grams in the first week, which was crazy. And he's still gaining really fast. Excellent feeding response. That's a great thing about corns, is unlike ball pythons, you're never going to have issues with feeding with them. Almost never. Their feeding responses tend to be very, very strong and very, very consistent, which is great. Needless to say, he still needs a little bit of time before he's up to full proper weight, but he will be for sale soon. He's very well temperamented. Lots of baby corns like to be nippy and crazy, but this one is not at all, actually. Very nice.
Something about like all of the snakes we get being definitely underweight, except for the jungle carpet. He's the only one that came in nice conditions, I guess.
Here in my hands, this is a little yellow-bellied slider. We think this guy was probably not under any sort of UVB and probably also had improper dietary needs, but his shell is really not doing too hot. It should be a lot smoother, but instead it's all lumpy and it's weird shaped. It's not developed properly, and the worst part is that it's squishy. It feels like rubber. A turtle shell is not supposed to feel like that. I have a yellow-bellied slider myself. It's about the same size as this, but she looks worlds different from this one. So this guy, he will go to a special home that keeps him... It's possible he might not grow a whole lot bigger than this, because once the shell starts to go downhill, then obviously their spine is built into the shell and lots of their anatomy is built around the shell. So if that gets stunted, then their whole body gets stunted and they're not going to grow a whole lot bigger. It really just depends on how long he's been without that proper UVB.
It should be interesting for him to see how he changes and everything, but luckily he's still eating well, and overall doesn't seem to mind. He basks with no problem. Seems very happy. Will bask like all day, and he was very nervous originally, but now when you come into the room, he doesn't really care. He just ignores you.
He's got a whole 55-gallon tank to himself, which I'm sure he's loving.
And it's like the biggest size basking spot. He's on like his own like planet. It's so big out there.
Other than that, he's active, he eats well, he's happy, and now that he's under proper care, I think he'll do a lot better. His only issue is that he wasn't in proper care for a while, and he's really jacked up. In one of Alex's recent videos, he talked about corn snakes and how they are very hardy and can live through somewhat sad conditions. This is a good example of that. This guy was living in a medium-sized critter keeper on a substrate that was 50% crushed walnut shell and 50% his own fecal matter that had been there for like 10 months, or who knows how long. It was like glued to the bottom. I needed a razor to scrape it off. And he's still doing fine. He's still active. He still likes to be handled. He's just like, it's amazing, like the recovery he's made. Amazing.
We're proud savers of this little child. My commentary is getting worse. Well, maybe you saw something that caught your eye. Maybe not. Either way, you could go check out the site and see what's currently available. If you are interested, if you're in the United States, we can ship to you. Feel free to ask any questions. You'll get a quicker response if you email the Emerald Scales email, because there's 2 people managing that compared to just my personal GoHerping one. You can follow the socials. We have a Instagram and a Facebook for Emerald Scales, where we update everything like immediately.
Facebook is new, so make sure to go check us out there. We're going to be really active on there, especially coming up in the future is the plan, the hopeful plan. By the way, there is a video on there, so we might even do some videos on Facebook that don't even make it to YouTube. There's a video about the first crested gecko that got shipped off, and that's kind of exciting. Oh, by the way, check out this clip from the proud owner of the new crested gecko as he unboxes his new friend.
Okay, first shipment of Emerald Scales. It's a little bit chilly here in Minnesota. Definitely colder than in North Carolina. So I'm hoping everything went well. Okay. Still warm. That's fine. Oh, there you are. You're much bigger in person. Oh boy. I signed it. Hi there, buddy. Looks like you came in all safe. I was worried you were going to drop your tail in transit. Hi. How's it going? Goodness. Oh, you're chilly. Let go. There he is. glad to say no one got hurt in the filming of this video.
Hey, look at that, you made it to the end of the video. You're my favorite. Anyway, that was a nice rundown of all the current Emerald Scales animals that are available as of recording this video. So on GoHerping, I'll do my usual stuff on my own animals, care stuff, and whatever else I feel like making, but this was just the occasional Emerald Scales update we wanted to give you. The animals available are always going to be changing, whether you're watching this a week later or 10 years later, so make sure you just go over to the site and see what is available. Feel free to ask any questions, let me know if you enjoyed this video, and check the description and pinned comment of this video for all the stuff that I forgot to mention in this voiceover.
Well, that's it for now. Emerald Scales is cool.
Bye.
Our outros are always so pathetic.